Carved is a brand new 2024 Hulu original slasher monster movie, and it is about a killer pumpkin. Yeah, killer pumpkin. And this is about a town who's putting on this like fair, and they have a pumpkin carving contest, and one of these guys brings this really weird looking pumpkin to the pumpkin carving contest. And as soon as the pumpkin carving begins, the pumpkin wants to protect itself and get retribution for all of its brothers and sisters that have been carved up. It's kind of like a revenge movie. Now, somewhere along the way, like towards the end, the characters figure out that the people that the pumpkin is trying to kill are the people that were carving the pumpkins, and that it is kind of like a revenge thing. Now, I can't tell if that was trying to be like a reveal that was supposed to be surprising, because they come to the realization of it, and it's like a moment where they like do a flashback kind of thing and show us the moments, and I was sitting there like that's off, like that's implied, like that's of course why it came to life, that's of course why it's killing, like that's not supposed to be. I actually was pretty surprised by that, that was being put that way. So I guess that could technically be a spoiler, but I don't see how. Anyway, so I know this, when I watch these movies now that feature this younger generation of like early 20-somethings, I always recognize them 9 times out of 10 from shows that my kids watched in the last few years or so, and it definitely makes me feel old, because these are like Disney shows or like, you know, family friendly shows. The main girl of this is the lead character in a show they used to watch called Doogie Kamealoha MD, which is kind of like a spin-off, or not a spin-off, but like a loose remake of Doogie Howser. And then the other kid is Farkle from Girl Meets World, which they talk about him all the time. So when I saw him, I was like, oh my God, these are like 2 characters from some of my kids' favorite shows. So I found that to be really funny. And so I mentioned that not only to point out the fact that it definitely makes me feel old, but also that that it might have warped my perception of this movie to some degree, but I really don't think so. So the big problem I had with the film is that it felt like an R-rated Disney Channel movie. Like, the way that the characters acted, the way that it was shot, the way that it felt, the dialogue, it was all very like classic, cheesy kids movies. Like, I just watched the Kissing Booth movies with my kids, and there's definitely like a teenage aim to the film. It's the style, it's the way that people, you know, talk and converse with one another and whatever, right? It has a very teeny bopper flavor to it. And that's how this is. But like when you watch the Kissing Booth movies, for instance, those are clearly, obviously meant for kids, and therefore they are, they follow that to the letter. As to where with this one's like R-rated, and there's actually some fairly graphic kills in here. So it felt tonally odd to me. So while I did like the kills, and I did like the concept of like a killer pumpkin, and yes, it's just the pumpkin walking around on its like vines that grow out of it. That stuff was all cool, but everything else it just did not fit this type of film that I was watching, right? Like, it felt so juvenile and so childlike most of the time. Like, our main drama in the movie is there's this couple played by those 2 actors that I just mentioned, and they're actors, and she's a writer, actor, and he's an actor, and they're working on this play together, and then he announces that he's leaving. He's moving away, and he hasn't told her he's leaving in like 3 weeks. And it's like a thing between them the whole movie, where they're just like having relationship drama, and he's moving away for like college or something, and it just feels so childish. The whole movie it genuinely feels like, as I said, like I just watched all 3 Kissing Booth movies with my kids. It kind of felt like that. And it doesn't meet the tone of the rest of this film. Like, this film is R-rated. Everyone's throwing the F-bomb out every 5 seconds. You've got it, and so it's weird that it felt kiddish when I'm saying that people are using the F word and that there's a lot of gore. It's weird that it still felt childish. It still felt like a Disney movie. It was a weird combination. So it shouldn't feel like that because of those things, but it did still. And that's why I'm saying maybe it was the fact that I know these kids, but I watched Thanksgiving, right, with Milo Manheim from the zombie movies, and you know, there's plenty of these movies where these kids show up from shows that my kids watch. And I don't have that feeling at all. The Thanksgiving movies, while it is fun and ridiculous and the characters are having a lot of teen drama or early 20-something drama, it never feels childish. It doesn't feel like a Disney movie at all. Like, it feels like a slasher movie. This is a slasher movie, but it still feels childish. So, weird. And that really took me out of it because I never connected with anything. I never connected with any of the characters. I never really cared about anything. You kind of knew exactly where everything was going to go. And then, as I said, you've got some pretty cool practicals, some CG, of course, and some decent kills, right? So that was the only thing to really take away from this film. It is on Hulu if you want to check it out right now for Huluween, but it's definitely not a recommendation from me for slasher fans that are looking for something good to watch this October. So anyway, that's that. Carved, and it's a shame. I feel like had they made this more adult or made it like they needed to pick a lane, right? It's either make it a fun, family-friendly horror movie like a Hocus Pocus or like something like a Beetlejuice or something like that, something everybody can watch. But it felt like it was like alienating all of the viewers that it could have been meant for. Like, you know, the 12-year-olds that would come to watch this, they'd be like, "Oh my God, that's too graphic." And then the you know, the horror fans of my age would watch this and be like, why are these characters so kiddish? Like, it really just takes you out no matter what age you are. So that's the big issue. Tonality is off. That's that. I'm reiterating myself. I'll see you in the comments. Bye.